You lie in bed, put on your glasses, turn on the bedside lamp, and start reading a book wearing wireless headphones. In this simple act alone, you have already used 4 NASA inventions. Who are they, and why is space closer to us than we think? Today I'm going to share with you 18 things you probably didn't know were made by NASA. Let's get started. Infrared thermometer. During the pandemic, when we entered a building, we had our temperature taken with a thermometer placed on our foreheads, or thermal cameras did everything automatically. These devices use an infrared sensor, which makes the otherwise long process of temperature measurement quite easy. However, did you know that this method is based on NASA technology, developed 20-30 years ago, to measure the temperature of space objects emitting infrared radiation? All living organisms also emit such infrared radiation, and NASA thought they could use the sensors to pick it up in seconds. Literally instant results with very slight deviations. Memory foam. If you are currently listening to this video with one of these big over-ear headphones, it is very likely that their cushions or arches are made of memory foam. We've all seen that interesting material that makes sleeping especially comfortable for some people. Did you know that memory foam is a NASA invention since the 60s, and it was with a very different purpose? The original idea was to provide comfort and safety to the test pilots from the pressure during launch and landing, or in the event of a crash. Before it became so popular, it was only put in astronaut spacesuits because it accommodated individual body shapes, and so people of slightly different sizes could wear the same suits comfortably. Within just a few years, memory foam went beyond NASA and became extremely popular, and today it is used in pillows, mattresses, horse saddles, and even in medicine. Scratch-resistant surfaces. NASA scientists had to come up with a way to protect the astronaut's helmet from ultraviolet radiation and scratches, and make it more durable for the harsh conditions of space. Thus, in just a few weeks, a new type of material was born with a carbon, diamond-like nanonetwork, which was 10 times more resistant to scratches or impacts. The company that NASA worked with, Foster Grant, started putting it in their regular glasses for people, and subsequently granted the patent to all other brands. Today, most scratch-resistant coatings are created thanks to NASA technology. Car tires have a long life. In the 70s, another problem was knocking on NASA's door, and it was connected with the tires of the Viking landers. It was not particularly resistant and reliable. A stronger alternative had to be found immediately, so NASA contacted Goodyear, with whom they began to work together. Only a few months later, another, much more durable fiber material was produced, which immediately came into use. The new tires were 5 times stronger, and their life increased many times. Thus today, we can drive about 15,000 miles with one tire, instead of 2,000 or 3,000, as was the case before. Enriched baby formula. While NASA didn't technically invent baby powder milk, it has a lot more nutritional value today thanks to them. It all started in the 80s, when the idea came for astronauts in space to have more nutrient-rich food in a smaller amount. While developing a special diet formula, scientists came across a type of microalgae that had the ability to produce docosahexaenoic acid, which is key to the processes in our body. Normally, this acid accumulates in the mother's breast milk and is responsible for the proper mental and motor development of the child. Thanks to the discovery of algae, it is also starting to be added to powdered baby milk. So, millions of babies around the world enjoy better brain development. If you have such powdered milk at home, read the label. You'll probably see algae extracts on it somewhere. Cordless tools. NASA declared a war on cables back in the 60s and signed a contract with the Black & Decker company for the production of cordless versions of familiar electric tools such as drills, screwdrivers, and others. The biggest hit, however, was Buster. And you guessed it right. This right here is a vacuum cleaner. However, this device did not gather debris from the shuttle, but was created for a completely different purpose during the Apollo missions. They had to come up with some kind of portable, battery-powered device that could collect material from the surface of the moon. Thus, they created a highly efficient electric motor on a battery with much lower energy consumption. This motor was an absolute revolution in the production of tools, and the technology began to be widely applied to this day. The cameras on our phones. Did you know that your smartphones have cameras thanks partly to NASA? Let me explain. In 1990, a team of scientists at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, led by Eric Olson, created a small type of sensor from a complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Yes, I know, it's a bit complicated, but when I say CMOS, I'm sure those who are at least slightly interested in photography will immediately remember. This new sensor was several times smaller and much more energy efficient, which is great news for space. Although CMOS technology is not exactly theirs, NASA is pushing for its implementation, and that's how people actually understand the benefits. They cover their space shuttles with such cameras and push for the development of this new type of sensor, the laptop. This on your screen is the Grid Compass, one of the first laptops that belonged to the company Grid Systems, with whom NASA had a close relationship. The space agency was constantly pushing for the development of a portable computer, but they were constantly adding new things to it, such as modular floppy disks, fans, batteries, and so on. Many people have the opinion that it was NASA that gave the initial speed for laptops to develop so much. The Grid Compass had rather modest screen parameters of 320 by 240 pixels, RAM memory of 340 kilobytes, but it cost $10,000. Let's not forget, however, that this was 1983. Otherwise, the first laptop in the world is considered to be the Osborne one, which is somewhat of a competitor, but with significantly larger dimensions. Nike Air. You've probably guessed that NASA's favorite words are portability and lightness. Former aeronautical engineer Marion Rudy was tasked with making the spacesuits lighter. And what's lighter than the air? That's how he came up with the idea of a special mechanism that encapsulates an inert gas in polyurethane plastic. Rudy not only made the suits lighter, but also made the shoes more shock-absorbent and much more comfortable. Unintentionally, he also gave the beginning to our familiar Nike Air, which we wanted and wore so much. So guys, we got to the middle of the video. Give a thumbs up in support and let's continue with more interesting inventions. Frozen and dried fruit. Maybe you've tried that weird space ice cream or chunks of fruit, mostly strawberries, that are somehow mysteriously dry but don't go bad. They undergo a special type of preservation called lyophilization, where the food is frozen and the water is sucked out of it. This technology marks its beginning again with NASA because they wanted to guarantee a longer life of food in more compact sizes. By lyophilization, the food retains up to 98% of its nutritional qualities, remains good for a longer period of time, and most importantly, loses 80% of its weight. Foil blankets. You must have seen in the movies how victims are wrapped in special foil blankets, which look uncomfortable and at first glance can't keep you warm. However, the foil is a real shield and insulator that keeps the temperature without any particular losses. To this day, they are known abroad as space blankets because they were first developed and used by NASA in 1973 to protect astronauts from the sudden changes in temperature on the shuttles. Water purification systems. During one of the missions in 1960, a NASA team encountered a rather serious problem. Their shuttle water was contaminated with bacteria. Back then, water filters existed, but they weren't particularly suitable for microorganisms. This forced scientists to develop a portable and more compact version that would purify water from various harmful microorganisms. For this purpose, they used an ion sterilizer and a cartridge filter, which, by the way, is still used in public swimming pools. The computer mouse. Shortly after the creation of the first computer, 2 NASA employees decided that there should still be an interactive method of computer interaction. Typing each command took a lot of time and it was boring. In the early 60s, Douglas Engelbart created the world's first mouse, and it looked like this. They called it mouse simply because of the visual resemblance. The saddest thing is that the inventor of the mouse does not get any money from his invention, because the patent for it is held by the Stanford Science Institute, not by him. Wireless headphones. I've already mentioned to you that NASA was declaring war on cables before it was even cool. In the weightlessness of space, any dangling cable is a potential problem. In 1961, one of NASA's astronauts almost died as a result of a technical error. His capsule was brought down in water, began to sink, and all communications electronics burned out. Thus, the astronaut had no way to report the situation and seek help. After this incident, NASA ordered the development of a special portable wireless radio transmitter that would be totally separate from the systems in the capsule. A few months later, the first wireless headphones were created, which were built directly into the helmet. Subsequently, this new technology began to be used in people's daily lives. In case you want to learn such interesting things, subscribe to the channel. Thanks! LED lights. Light-emitting diode technology, also known as LED, is a light source that in recent years has become an increasingly desirable choice for families due to its economy and efficiency. It was created by Nick Holonyak in 1962 while working at General Electric. Until NASA's intervention, however, the world knew absolutely nothing about the new discovery. They funded research on LED technology because they wanted to take it to space. With this kind of light, astronauts began cultivating plants on the International Space Station. Separately, they discovered that directed infrared LED light can heal wounds faster or relieve pain. However, this led to the next problem and discovery that we know today: air purifiers. Astronauts nicely started growing plants up there, but the capsulated environment started to create a problem. As we know, most plants release a certain amount of gas called ethylene, which is not very good for astronauts. So about 30 years ago, NASA got scared and started frantically looking for a solution. They had to create a portable mechanism to clean the air on the space station. Thus, air purification systems were born, which are still used in airplanes and in office buildings and even at home. Their invention purifies pathogens and other unwanted particles. And so, in 2013, the first home air purifiers based on NASA technology began to appear. Emergency extraction tools. The tool on your screens is called the Jaws of Life and is used to open crushed metal. This technology came into use decades ago in road accidents, where trapped people had to be extricated from crushed cars. Today, thanks to NASA, this tool is portable, much lighter and more compact. It is available to most fire crews who arrive at incidents. It can literally cut through metal as if it were paper, making it easier to get people stuck inside. The insulin pump. To make sure their astronauts are in excellent health, NASA has developed a system that monitors and reports the vital signs of each one of them 24/7. Blood pressure, heart rate, breathing, and blood sugar. Due to the environment in space, the appetite of the astronauts increased, which in turn led to an increase in glucose in the blood. For this purpose, scientists created a special device that constantly regulates glucose levels, even releasing insulin when needed. The technology for the creation of the insulin pump was based on this principle. Thumbs up if you liked the video, subscribe for more, and see you soon.